swear the statements you make will be the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. I'm going to adjust just a little bit here. We've been doing this since 9 o'clock today. My back is getting a little sore, but we're making progress. So, all right, Mr. Andrews, you filed this against Miss Smith McDougal, and you believe she's a DeKalb County resident. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. You said you used to live with this person. When is the last time you lived with them?
After the TPO was granted the first time, that was the last time.
Okay, and so you said a previous TPO was granted. So was she removed from the home?
Yes. Well, the same one that we're in court for right now. If I'm not mistaken, I had a court.
So were you living
case
with her when you filed this in June?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then after the preliminary order was granted, maybe around the 12th, she was served with this and then removed from where you were living?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tell me what led to you filing the order, or filing the petition, rather.
What led to me filing the petition was getting threats and having gentlemen come into my house with weapons and being aggressive, or her at one point being aggressive with me on an occasion that had happened whenever I had came to her asking about rent and stuff like that. But aside from that, also, I had a friend. What's the word?
I'm sorry, I got to ask you to back up about 5 seconds because my audio cut out. You said aside from that, and then I lost you.
I'm sorry. I had a friend that was here. Let me check my battery. I'm sorry, my phone is running very low. Okay, 5%. But yeah, I had a friend that was staying here at the house with us because he had ended up losing his place of staying. And while he was here at the place, I had ended up leaving and taking my daughter back to Florida. And while I was gone, like I had received a message. She was just asking when I was going to come back and everything. And I let her know everything like that. But whenever I got back, like I had came in the house and then they were laid up in the bed together. And then she tried to tell me that that he tried to rape her or something like that. But so it's just like she was making a false statement on him. At first, I believed it was true. So I kicked him out. And then it turned out later on not to be true. And I could tell by the way she was trying to keep him in the house because like if somebody tried to rape you, why would you want them to be in the house with you still? Or if somebody tried to sexually assault you or anything like that, it don't really make sense to me. But
all right, now
came and stole. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, your audio had cut out. I didn't realize you were still talking. Let's do this.
I'm sorry.
I heard you say 5%. 5% might not
Yes,
even
sir.
be 5 minutes. There are no guarantees. So are you able to get to a charger where you can continue to talk to me with this thing
Yes, sir.
plugged in? Okay, let's take a
Yes,
pause
sir.
and do that.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Due to my rent not being paid and she had left with not paying the rent and stuff, my lights are currently off right now. So I have to go to the car.
Now, is this so are you still living at I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to say the Tree Mountain address?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so and she was living there with you up until she was removed by the sheriff?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Before then, she had already had a notice to vacate and stuff, so she was already going to be moving out. But due to the instances that we had, I went ahead and do the TPO. Aside from that, because I felt like my life was in danger.
Okay. Now you said that all these people who came to make these threats to you were doing all this stuff. How do you know they were doing it at her request or direction?
I won't say that it was specifically at her request or direction, but I know she's kind of talkative, so she probably did tell people what was going on and put her own twist on the story, so people thought I was a bad guy, and stuff like that. So whenever the guy that had came in the house and stole some things, I had requested for him not to be brought back into my house because pretty much I didn't want to have him arrested, but I couldn't even just exactly prove it because I didn't have it on camera. But he was the only one that was in the house aside from her when some things came up stolen. So I asked for him not to be brought back to the house. And then after I had asked her for rent and she got mad and she was like, I'm going to have my peoples pull up because I feel like you're threatening me or you're trying me or something like that. She said specifically. And then she had that same guy that came and stole some stuff. And he had already threatened me before to come back to the house after I had asked him if he stole some things from the house. And she brought him back to pretty much stay at the house and live in there while she was there after that stuff happened.
So she's made
So
verbal
it was just like
statements
she was kind of
that threatened to bring people and then people showed
yes.
up.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, that was
That's
actually through text right there. That was on text. I got it in text. But,
okay. And the people that showed up, what were they telling you?
When he came, like I was outside when I had seen him because he had like I can't say for sure, but I seen something on him and I didn't want to go up into my house because I didn't feel like it was safe for me to go up into the house at the time. So I had called the police to come. But whenever I went up the stairs and the police came, they told me I can go up there just to make sure everything was fine. They would chill out and wait downstairs. And when I went upstairs and knocked on her door, he was like, "If you come in here, I'm gonna blow this. I'm gonna shoot it." Or he said, "I'm gonna shoot some shit or something like that." Excuse me, my language, sir. But that's exactly what he said. So at that point, I'm like, okay, makes sense. So then I tried to have him removed from the house, but the police wouldn't remove him. They said he could, that since he was her guest, that he didn't have to leave. So he ended up staying there for days. And then they had some people come over. He tried to fight with her guest that she had come over in the house. So it was just like it was just crazy because I don't know, I just didn't like that. And they almost got into a fight. Also, I'm sorry for stuttering my words a little bit. I'm just trying to remember everything that took place that same night when all those guys came over. He almost fought the guys. She almost fought with him to kick him out the house, and then she brought him back 2 days later. So it was just like I can't live like that. I feel unsafe.
Okay. Well, what I'm concerned with today, or I guess what I'm required to consider, is strictly threats of violence or acts of violence toward you. And so,
Yes, sir.
so
Yes, sir.
it sounds like the verbal confrontation you had with this guy, it sounds like he was already there. Now, granted, that's your house or your residence, but he's already there, and it seems like he kind of starts firing back at you verbally, kind of immediately and on his own. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was
So there wouldn't have been time for her to like,
Oh,
tell
she
him,
did
hey,
tell him
go
to
set him.
close. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
She told him what?
She told him to whenever me and her had started having a conversation because she was telling I heard her on the phone telling people like lies about what's going on. So I started talking to her and me and her was having a conversation and then she said close the door. And when she told him to close the door on me right in my face because I was standing in the doorway, she said close the door on him. He closed the door and hit me with the door. And that's when it had got to a point where like I had to push him like, yo, what up, bro? Like what are you pushing me for in my house? You pushing the door on me while I'm having a conversation with her. He had approached me at that point too, but it never went farther. She had pulled out her phone and started trying to record after I had walked up a little bit. That's when she pulled out her phone and started trying to record like I was trying to be aggressive and come in there and fight him and fight her. She was trying to prove, but I got that all on audio recording too from when we was having the conversation, and then it just turned from her saying close the door on him, and then he closed the door and slammed it in my face and hit me with the door. So then that's when that had kind of went on. But yes, sir. And then she had lost. Yeah, she's told me multiple times that she would have her boys come through, and that she said at least 2 or 3 times before. That was just on other situations. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to figure out when some boys are going to come through or who they are or what they finna do. I would rather not have my life at risk just for that.
All right. And how long were you two living together?
It would probably be about 8 months, maybe, if that long. Yes.
And was this strictly a roommate situation or was there a relationship as well?
We're strictly roommate.
Okay. Was she ever on a lease or anything to that effect?
She was never on the lease. She was supposed to be added to the lease, but she had some things that she said she wanted to get her situated on her ID. And so that's why we, I guess, waiting so long and it never happened though. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Smith McDougall, are there questions that you think I need to ask Mr. Andrews that have not been covered yet? Keeping in mind, you will have the opportunity to testify after the questioning period.
I don't have any questions.
All right, very good. Mr. Andrews, did you have any other witnesses that are on the call that you wish to have testify today?
I have one person he said he's in the breakout room though. I don't know how to get him in.
Let me look into that. That's something we can figure out. Ms. Goodman or Ms. Broom, are you able to
Yes.
see if we have any
Yes, I have him. He does not name. I'm sending him to unmute and start video because he's not responsive. Oh, he said it's not allowing him to do it.
Okay, well, if we can tell him to maybe try to log off and log back in, we'll keep the hearing moving. And if I need to circle back, then I can,
Okay.
if we can get him back online. So ma'am, what we're going to do for now is move on to your testimony. It's a little bit out of our normal order of things because he's having some technical difficulties for his witness. I say this as someone who had to shut his machine down and restart the whole thing in the middle of a different hearing earlier today. It happens. And so we will work with them as best we can, but to use everyone else's time and be as respectful of that as possible, we're going to move on to your testimony if you wish to give it. Understand the statements you make can be used against you in other proceedings. With that said, if you would like to testify, please unmute and raise your right hand for me. Do you swear any statements you make will be the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. All right. What would you like to tell us today?
So pretty much what he's mentioning, in regards to, the sexual assault that I discussed with him, with his witness, that has nothing to do with the situation that he had with my friend Tony. But I'll just say this, his situation with my friend Tony originated from what he said, some of his belongings went missing. And it was some items that were not legally supposed to be in the apartment anyway. I did submit some text messages, some screenshots of the text messages where he was saying how much it was worth and that me and my friend were possibly in cahoots if I can't prove that he actually took it. So that's where it kind of started off, where where he had an issue with my friend. I couldn't prove that my friend took it because when we went to wherever we went, his mother figure had him empty out all his pockets and he didn't have it. So I couldn't say that he stole it, but the plaintiff was adamant on saying that he actually stole it. That kind of evolved into the situation that happened on the 3rd of June, where it started off where Tyler tried to access my DoorDash account, which is how he was making money. He was making money off of using my DoorDash account, but was complaining to me that I wasn't making enough money. So what I did was I started using the DoorDash account full time and I changed the password. He said that I was being spiteful for that. So he said that he was going to return the favor and be spiteful to me. And he mentioned that rent was going to be late. And if I was late this time, I was going to have to pay last month's late fee, including the current late fee. And that's the things that he would do as the leaseholder, is that he would try to put on these extra fees and tell me this and that. And I couldn't really say nothing because he's on the lease and he wouldn't allow me to get on the lease. I did say at first that I was in the process of changing my name and stuff, and we could make a separate agreement, but that didn't happen. So I was just trying to get on the lease, but he stopped doing that because of other things. But pretty much I submitted that. It's 6_3 conversation lead to incident. I have a video recording that he mentioned of Tyler actually in my room trying to fight my friend and me continuously asking him to leave. You can't be assaulted by a door unless you're standing standing in the doorway. And he was standing in the doorway arguing with me back and forth, and I didn't want to hear it anymore. So I told my friend to close the door. And my friend closed the door, and Tyler entered without my permission and began to get in the person's face and try to fight him.
What door is this exactly?
This is the door to my room. I have the video if you want to see it. It's a lot of bad language in it, but in the video, Tyler's in my room and I'm continuously asking him to leave my room. And he's steady approaching the guy. He's taking his socks off and asking me to stop recording. So he was actually
Well,
the
we're gonna
aggressor.
we'll see if Miss Broom can pull the video up. Ma'am, I'm gonna be blunt. You have no idea what language I've heard today. Just today. I'm not even talking about all the other days we do court. I've already heard some things. Some of them I had to turn my camera off because I couldn't keep a straight face. So
Okay.
we'll do your evidence that you submitted momentarily.
I couldn't submit. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll have you confirm once we pull it up that we have pulled up the right thing, and then we'll go from there.
I couldn't submit the video because it was a minute too long.
Okay.
So I have it on my phone.
We'll
So
do
yeah,
the best we can. If you want to try to hold it in frame for the camera and see if the camera will focus on it. I don't really know that we can do any better at this juncture, but we'll see what we have.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna turn the volume up. Get out my room, please. 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 No. Get out my room, please. Get out my room, please. Get out my room, please. No. Get out my room, please. Get out my room, please. Why you approaching me? Why you approaching me? Get out my room. Hey, you over there. You calm down. Back up. Back up. You didn't. She was trying to enter my room and you closed the door. Close the door. Get out my room. Get out my room, Tyler. Tyler. Get out my room, Tyler. Get out my room, Tyler. But that was pretty much Tyler in my room on the 3rd. And that's the same day that he filed the suit against me. He didn't tell me nothing about it because I was still living there. On the 5th, I found an attempt to serve on the counter. And I submitted that as evidence. But what's interesting is that on the next day, on the 6th, Tyler and the person that he was just trying to fight, my friend, Tyler owns an LLC and he produces music. So Tyler produced a song for Tony, which is the person that he was just trying to fight. So he's saying that I'm inviting thugs into the house and et cetera, but he's working with these thugs. And that's why I submitted it as I think I said produced song for a thug. That was the email of Tyler sending the my friend the song that he just produced for him. So yeah.
All right. So trying to think if I have other questions to ask at this point. I don't believe that I do at this time. Mr. Andrews, if you're able to come back on video, do you have any questions you believe I need to ask this witness that have not been brought up yet?
Oh, yes, sir. First, I would like to ask her. So you said for a door to be for it to be assault or something, the door has to be slammed on somebody. Did the door not hit me in the face when it closed? Because when I was standing in your doorway, we were
Her
having
statement was that to be hit by the door, you had to be in the path of the door.
yeah, and I was standing literally in the frame of the door. So when it closed, it hit me in the face.
So I
That's
think her argument,
I'm sorry.
this is
Yes,
really
sir.
not a factual dispute, it's an argument, but her
Yes, sir.
argument boils down to you couldn't have been hit by the door unless you were in her room.
And yes, because
Is-
we were having
is-
a conversation. Yeah, and she knew we were having. I got audio recording, but it's on my phone, and I'm doing the Zoom call on my phone. But I got all the audio from everything before and while that happened and everything. We were having a civil conversation, trying to get facts disputed, and then she got tired of me telling her the truth in front of her friends, and then that's when she had just told him to close the door. And that's when he closed the door and hit me in the face with the door. So then after that, when I had walked into the room at that point, because I'm like, you just hit me with the door. It's assault. That's when she pulled out her phone and started recording. But aside from that, right there, yeah, I would like to see how much money. If you want to ask her, well, that don't even really matter too much because I mean, honestly, the whole DoorDash thing, yeah, she did try to kick me off of that. And that yes, I did say that was spiteful because it was, and she still hasn't even been using the DoorDash since. But aside from that, I don't any questions that I have to ask. You can ask her why we were having issues. If you want to ask that, because rent wasn't paid at all, like on time, like 7 months straight out of the 9 months, if 9 months we were together as roommates. So that's where a lot of the problems came, and that's why money was added because of late fee. I told her she had to pay the late fee. Yeah, you have to pay a late fee because you were late for rent. So if you want to, I mean, if you want to ask her some more questions about these things, she's saying, yes, sir, that's fine. But
the
she's
rent
just
dispute is
bringing up
not
half
something.
truths right now as usual, sir.
The rent issues are not really something that I'm
Yes, sir, and I understand that
empowered
too.
to address today, but this is something that'll be pending in another court, correct?
Mhm.
If
Yes,
y'all are behind on rent, there's going to be an eviction at some point, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. So what I'll tell you in that regard, and this is no swipe at the marshals, that is not a kind and gentle process if they come for your stuff. Their job is to empty it out as fast as they can because they have somewhere else to be. If there's anything you can do to secure a new place and get your belongings there, you have a better chance to protect your items, to keep them safe and undamaged and accounted for, than if the marshals show up
Yes, sir.
to actually. So just keep that in mind if that's something
Yeah.
you're able to wrangle and if you believe an eviction is coming.
Yes, sir. I
right.
have another roommate that's he literally just moved in like the other day, so he's supposed to be paying his the rest of his rent. So then we'll go ahead and have all that paid. But so
No, if they're accepting
hopefully
money from
everything
y'all
just
still,
goes.
then that would put a stop to all that, but you need to make sure you talk to them about that and everyone's on the same page.
Oh yes, yes, sir. I let him know.
All right.
May I say something? May I
Go
say
ahead.
something really quick? And this is the issue. I was always hesitant to pay rent on the and mind you, I have not always been late, but
I'm not here for rent. It's
yeah,
not,
I know,
man, I'm just going to jump in to say there's nothing you could say about the rent that has any bearing on what we're here to do today. And so
Okay,
I
that's
know
fair.
those issues are there. I also know I'm going to have to attach myself to a charger momentarily, but here's what I can say. It appears that this roommate situation is at its end. Ms. Smith McDougal, were you able to get your belongings out?
No, I'm not. I haven't been able to because I was kicked out like around 2 in.
By whom?
She came back the next day, but her
No,
stuff is
let me talk.
storage.
Hang on, sir. Let
I'm
me,
sorry,
Mr.
sir.
Andrews, let me hear from her.
Yes, sir.
So kicked out at 2 a.m. by whom?
So when I had got home late and he actually called the marshals to come serve me the papers. And so it was 2 in and they served me and I had to leave at 2 in.
Okay, did the
and
paperwork provide with like a trip back with a law enforcement escort?
yes, they said that I could do that just to call each time, but I couldn't afford to, I didn't know that this was going on, so I couldn't afford to get a U-Haul, get a storage unit, and get everything situated, because I didn't know it was gonna happen. So I'm still in the process of getting all of that situated, getting a storage unit and being able to get a U-Haul to get my things.
Okay. And how long do you expect that process to take?
I've already, well, I've pretty much been sleeping on my friend's couch because I didn't have anywhere else to go. But I would need about maybe 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks.
All right. Mr. Andrews, how long do you expect to be at this apartment? Do you expect to stay there for the
Probably.
ongoing?
So you said for the ongoing who?
Like, do you expect to be at this apartment for the foreseeable future, or do you expect that you will try to move somewhere else?
It's really up in the air, but I think I would try to be here. I put all this. I do have her belongings in the storage unit outside, so if she ever need to come and grab it, she can. But
What would
I
she
sh-
need to access that storage unit?
her house key that she has.
So the key she already has would be able to get her into the unit to retrieve her belongings.
Yes, sir. Oh, let me put my face
All
on
right.
the camera. Yes, sir.
Ms. Smith McDougal, do you still have that key?
I would have to check in my car to see.
Okay. Do you know where this unit would be that he's referencing?
I'm sure it's right beside the door.
I'm
Okay.
assuming that the units have like a dedicated, like a storage closet
Mhm.
space type of deal. Okay.
Yeah, to the side.
All right. And he has expressed a willingness to allow that to take place. So, and Ms. Smith McDougal, your plan moving forward here is to find somewhere else for you to be moving forward, essentially.
Yes, I don't want to live with him at all. The issue is just that I have to have enough time to plan somewhere to go.
All right. I need to heed my own advice. I sent Mr. Andrews for a charger when he was at 5%. When my computer said 5%, it pretty much shut itself down. So, Ms. Smith McDougal, you were indicating that your hope was to find somewhere else to be, settle in a new place and move on, correct?
I've been in communication with the complex that we were living in, and they were saying that they could get me into an apartment there, into my own apartment. The issue is that he has a protective order, and I think it's 100 yards that I can't be.
Is this one of those complexes that has like loads of buildings and units and whatnot, or is it smaller?
Yes, it's a really big like complex. It's like snake roads everywhere.
Okay, so Mr. Andrews, let me ask you this. We're not going to like pull up a map of the complex or anything like that, but sometimes we have cases that come to us that involve neighbors. And some of the things that happen in those cases are we might have provisions that people shouldn't contact each other or interact with each other, but we change that 100-yard barrier to something a little bit different to allow for people to come and go. Is that something that you would potentially be comfortable with? I think you'll have to unmute because it seems.
I'm sorry about that. So can you ask that question one more time for me?
So what she has said is that she is content, she is happy to go get her own place. The apartment complex is willing to give her an apartment separate and away from yours. Doing that would probably require me to adjust some of the language in the order. So for instance, it might tell her to stay 100 yards away right now, but it might say 20 or something like that if the order were to be changed to allow for that. And I want to ask what your feeling is about that.
Honestly, I don't like that, but at the same time, I don't want to stop somebody else from getting somewhere and living somewhere and having, a stable head. So, as long as she's not in the same unit as me and it's a certain amount of distance that she has to be away from me, then that's fine. I can do that. I wouldn't just be spiteful and stop that. No, sir.
I don't think it's fair that he is able to have an active protective order on me, and I haven't posed any type of threat to him, though. I'm more than willing to voluntarily not be around him because I don't want to be around him. But to have a protective order is just saying that I'm a threat to him. And in reality, it's the other way around. I honestly don't want to be near him at all. But to have a protective order on me is still saying that I'm a threat to him, and I've never been a threat to him. He just wanted to evict me, and this is a loophole for him to just get me out of the apartment.
No, this is not a
Well,
loophole. This is for my safety, my daughter's safety when she's around.
I will say this, that's certainly an argument to make. The shared spaces are complicated. I think the bulk of the issues here will essentially have subsided when you two are not sharing space. And I think
Honestly, I feel that's true.
and what I'm going to do is this. It's a little bit different than a typical case. This is strictly a roommate case, even though it qualifies by law as family violence because of how we define these things. There's not going to be an order for family violence intervention. That type of class is not appropriate for this situation. The order is going to be an order that will last for 60 days, which is essentially give or take a day. It's going to be September 10th, 2023. I think that might be 61 days. But it will last through that date. It will order Ms. Smith McDougal to stay 20 yards away and have no contact of any kind with Mr. Andrews.